So I guess we can jump into a loose topic that I'm actually really, really excited about. And basically, we're just going to be talking about our favorite year in video games. So basically, we're going to choose a year. What were the great games that came out that year? Were there any notable console releases or major events that happened that year? And then we'll have like a couple of notable mentions of other years that we thought are also worth consideration. So, Steve, what is your favorite year in gaming?
All right, hold on. Gotta get my notepad out because this was a fun one because it was such a trip down memory lane. So I have two main favorite ones, and I'm just trying to really decide. So even though it's way sooner than, obviously we love our retro stuff, and don't worry, I have a notable mention for a year, which almost knocked out one of these for my favorite. But I have to give, and it's such a weird one because it's not that long ago, but actually it was already a decade ago. So 2010.
Yep, I got you.
Is that a mention for you? Or?
Yes, it's a notable mention.
All right, because I don't feel bad taking it. So, excellent. 2010. I did not realize how packed this was. So, at this point, I'm a junior, I want to say, in high school. So, it's such a weird attempt to think. But this is the year that gave us a lot of sequels in a sense, but they were the revolutionary sequels. So the ones that people remember the most. So, obviously, we got Mass Effect, I think, back in 2007. But 2010, we got Mass Effect 2, which most people hold to be the best Mass Effect so far, except those Andromeda fans. But but this is the year that gave us, Mass Effect 2, Red Dead Redemption, Fallout New Vegas, which, again, is held as, like, the best Fallout to this day. Call of Duty Black Ops, now that's a personal one for me because that's the best Call of Duty in my opinion. Mario Galaxy 2, Halo Reach, which Halo Reach, again, is like my favorite. Halo, obviously, also the last one we got from Bungie. This is also when I started appreciating indie games because Limbo was out and I really connected to Limbo, so I was super excited for that. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which is held as one of the best Assassin's Creed games, even though 2 is kind of itching in there, but this is also when we started getting them every year. Battlefield Bad Company 2, which Bad Company is the Battlefield everyone keeps asking EA to go back to. Obviously, it's not going to happen at this point, so RIP. God of War 3 came out, Alan Wake, Heavy Rain, Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii, Castlevania Lord of Shadows, and also my last one I have on there was Sonic All-Stars Racing, because you guys know me. I don't even have to get into that one. So when I was looking into the years, I was really trying to see what was coming out, what was a constant hitter, because we've grown to almost be accustomed to multiple good games and then 3 really big games. Like in 2018, the 3 games were God of War, Spider-Man, and Detroit. I want to say it was was it Detroit?
I think so.
Yeah, those were those big staples that people were, Sony was really pushing. Xbox unfortunately didn't really have anything, but I wanted to see what year was a consistent, just really great games. And in 2010, I was finally really to be in the ecosystem. I want to say I worked all summer to get a PlayStation 3 at the time, and I was able to really experience some of these games. So I obviously, after catching up, Mass Effect 2 was my first experience into Mass Effect. I never had played 1. I didn't have a system to play 1, obviously, a PC or a 360. And Mass Effect 2 was the only Mass Effect on PlayStation 3 anyway. So it was really exciting to see these different worlds and see what gaming had become. Because for a long time, I was playing on PS2 games. I was playing ports on PS2, so I was playing whatever Call of Duty was coming out on PS2, which was not the best stuff. But to see games really step it up in every single aspect, to see games who were coming out and really just changing it up. To this day, these games are still being talked about. Red Dead Redemption, Fallout New Vegas, Black Ops and Halo Reach are always being held up as some of the best shooters, the best storytelling, the best games in general, to the point that they were getting Xbox One X updates when they were coming out on Xbox, when you were playing the old Red Dead and stuff like that.
Peace Walker? Birth by Sleep? Skate 3? 2010 is crazy.
Yeah, that's right. Birth by Sleep, which is pretty much my favorite Kingdom Hearts game, I want to say, besides 2,
Easily for me, yeah.
So it's just there's an insane amount. I didn't have enough paper space to write how many games came out in 2010, because that's not even including the mobile stuff that was coming out.
Oh yeah, that's all console stuff. Yeah.
The PSP. The PSP was. I want to say this was the real final year for PSP, and they were coming out.
Yeah, it's the latter years because the Vita came out 2012.
something like that, 2012, 2013. So like you were saying, Peace Walker and Birth by Sleep, which was Peace Walker I'm a little less on, but Birth by Sleep was fantastic. That was a console experience game. Like you were getting true artworks, true games that were like still stick to me. Like some of these games, I mean, look at Mario Galaxy 2. People are still up in arms that we can't play Mario Galaxy 2 right now. That's a decade-old game. Now, obviously, Nintendo's just being jerks about that, but
yeah, they're unique.
Alan Wake is on the verge of making a comeback. I haven't played the DLC for Control, but that's such a game that's still being brought up because it's so good. It's so like, I don't want to say perfect, but people just connect. Like these games just bring me back and connect me to a time where it's like I was playing these games not only for fun but for story, for characters, for experience.
Yeah, Mafia 2 I think came out that year too.
I want to say Mafia. Yeah,
2010. Let me check. Because I'm pretty...
I missed it, but it could be.
Mafia 2... Yeah, 2010, August 23rd.
Look at that. Look at that.
Tremendous.
Again, like I said, there's too many games to have on the list.
Tremendous.
So, that's one of my favorite years in video games because even though there was no console release... Actually, I think the PS3 Slim, which is like the best model, may have come out at that time, but...
The Slim, not the grill, right?
No, not that. That one's dumb.
Okay,
not the slidey one.
The slidey.
Not the slidey.
You're the only one who I know who ever got that.
Yeah, I kept. Well, yeah. I did that because it was
the red grill.
The red grill, which all the dust got in the slots.
Yeah.
So, but I want to say, yeah, not the super slim. They did the nice slim one, which is the one I got.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
Remember, I had to go to like Sam's Club or something because nobody had it.
That one's a beautiful one. I still want one of those.
Yeah, I still want to get one of those because I have my piano one. I want to track one of those down.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite years. I had to place it down, and I had another one which was like again I had a '90s one, and I had another one that was like really close. Before I go into notable mentions, though, I want to hear one of your favorite years.
Yeah, we can alternate.
Yeah, we'll do an alternate.
So my favorite year I chose, and it's probably going to come to a surprise to specifically you because again I play so many games from the '80s and early '90s. But I was kind of running through all the different years that in my head immediately came up to me like, what was a really good year for me? And then I ran through it, and actually my favorite year in gaming has to be 2001. Now, I'm going to read off some of the games that came out this year, and you're going to understand immediately why I think it's one of the best years in gaming. So, GTA 3, Halo, Melee, Jak and Daxter, Sonic Adventure 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, Final Fantasy X, SSX Tricky, DMC, Twisted Metal Black, Onimusha, Advance Wars, RuneScape, Paper Mario, Pokemon Crystal, Luigi's Mansion, the Game Boy Advance is launched, the GameCube releases, and the Xbox releases. So can you tell me that 2001 is not one of the best gaming years ever?
I didn't really... Again, this was a hard one, this subject. But my goodness, all that... I did not realize that was all...
And I double-checked it because I was like, there is no way. And I looked for every single one. I was like, wait, what? And I looked. Wait, what? And I looked. Yeah, it's insane. Like, 2001 is insane because it was one of those periods where just everything was happening at the same time. Where Nintendo they were launching their multi-pillar strategy with the whole, like, handheld working with the main console. The GameCube was coming out. PlayStation had already, I'm pretty sure, launched the PS2 by that point. But yeah, Xbox was jumping into the fray, so they came out with Halo and stuff like that. Melee was killing, like it's insane. So like I was going back and I was like, this is easily I couldn't find a year that was even close to this one. And then there's other ones that I really liked. But yeah, 2001 is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, things were getting revolutionized at the same time, at that time because like you said, Xbox and GameCube, they came out, with automatically 4 control, slots, and PlayStation you had to go get a multi-tap and stuff like that. Xbox had a hard drive in there. You didn't need a memory card. GameCube you did, but things were changing. That wasn't a thing. Memory cards, just knowing your games were going to be saved, getting discs for games. It's just such a good year. I did not know that all that was in the same year.
Yeah, it's crazy. Right?
I would. If I would have noticed, that probably would have been my year. I would have been like, yeah.
Yeah, I was reading this and I was like, this is definitely Steve's year. I was like, I shouldn't take it. But I was like, but I don't know if he knows. This is such a low-key year that a lot of people don't realize all this happened. Which
is crazy because I got my Xbox for Christmas that year. So so I was there. I got that for Christmas. My brothers, one got a PS2 and one got a GameCube. And I was always like so excited because time, I think all three of us shared one room, so we had all three systems in one room. So we had one guy playing Spiral, one guy playing, I don't know, SOCOM or something weird, and I'm over here playing Halo and Big Mother Truckers. So it's just, what a year. What a time.
Yeah, because you're basically one of the few times in history where you had 4 people pumping out major games. Because obviously PlayStation was already in the PS2 era. They launched in 2000. Xbox had just fresh come out, so they're trying to establish themselves, so they come out with Halo. Nintendo's an established franchise. N64 was kind of a rocky place, so they're like, we need to get our stuff together. So obviously, like, Paper Mario is there too, so they're doing their N64 thing, but they had games like Melee, which to this day is one of the best, I don't know if you want to call it, arcade fighters of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, in 2001, at that point, Sega was still holding on for dear life. So the Dreamcast was still doing its thing. It obviously didn't end up the best for them. But yeah, that you still had Sonic Adventure doing their thing. So like everybody was firing on all cylinders and trying to make their mark. And it was like a weird time for everybody where like PlayStation was still reaffirming like, hey, we killed it last generation. We could do it again. Plus they were seeing insane support because of the DVD drive. They were the first one to have the DVD. So, like, it was just an insane time in history where everybody was either coming off a low or a crazy high and trying to dominate this generation. And because of that attempt to dominate this generation, we had just some of the best games from first-party releases probably ever to this day.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. 2001, man. Wow. Wow.
Tell me about it.
It really caught me off guard there. So I'll go into my notable mentions. So one, just to roll the clock back a little bit, 2007 was which I understand that the Xbox 360 technically launched in like 2005. I don't think I never even saw it or really heard about it till about this time, only because of the games that were attached to it. So 2007 is the year that gave us BioShock, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So that's the Call of Duty that started this whole thing. Halo 3, Crysis, Portal. That's when the first Mass Effect came out. This is when Sony came out with Uncharted. So the last time we saw Naughty Dog was Jak and Daxter 3 or Jak Combat Racing. I don't remember which. It must have been Combat Racing. So this is the first time they really stepped up and changed their game up to Uncharted. Guitar Hero 3, Metroid Prime 3, God of War 2, Skate, and the Witcher series started in this. And Mario Galaxy. I don't know if I skipped that.
Oh, that's our era right there.
So this is the era where we were really... I always say really cognitive. So at this point, I was freshman in high school, so I knew what was going on. I was able to see videos online of these games and wishing. You know, I want to say my brother got a 360. I want to say sometime that year. So I was able to really, you know, this was the first time I was buying 360 games, even though I didn't have a 360, just because I knew I could go across the street and play it at his house. So that's a big one for me. The other one, I had to roll the clock back to a little bit, even though it's the year I was born, so I wasn't there, so I couldn't really push it for like it's one of my favorite years. But 1993.
Okay.
So this is Doom, Mortal Kombat 2, Secret of Mana, Day of the Tentacle, Star Fox, Mega Man X, which is, I mean, come on, it's Mega Man guy. Mega Man X is one of my favorite games of all time. This is when Super Mario All-Stars launched, and that's the version I got to play. Mostly Link's Awakening DX, which is was the first version of Link's Awakening I played. Yeah, Sonic CD, Zombies Ate My Neighbor, Shinobi 3 was 93 as well. Even if you get into the licensing stuff, this is when we were getting the Aladdin games. This is when we were getting DuckTales 2, Shining Forces 2, ActRaiser, Phantasy Star 4, NBA Jam was 1993 as well. Splatterhouse, Gunstar Heroes, Jurassic Park, and you got some other stuff because it was weird because we also got Mega Man 6 the same year as Mega Man X. So I just think it was such a constant connection of really good games that people still play to this day. How many people Star Fox may not be the game I play constantly, but it is cool to know that was all the same year. Now obviously I was not even a year. I was, not playing these games for whatever reason. But I never realized that some of these games that really are staples in gaming history were from 93. And it's like, man, if I was alive, for some of these games I wasn't even alive for, what a year would have been to just constantly have all this stuff. Like the Battletoads Double Dragon crossover was that year as well. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out, not just because I was born in that year, but 1993 was pretty dope. So what other notable mentions do you have?
Yeah, so one of them was obviously 2010, and you killed it on that one. So yeah, that I had all the same things listed. I want to go super far back to 1988 now. And now this one doesn't have the biggest quantity, but the names themselves are just beyond classic. So I got 4 for you here. So obviously Super Mario Bros. 3, one of the best games of all time. Mega Man 2, one of my favorite Mega Mans. Ninja Gaiden came out that year, and also Super Contra came out that year. So yeah, 88 is crazy. Obviously, it was the point where Nintendo had saved the game industry from that game crash, and I felt like the NES really started getting its traction around this time. Obviously, the Black Label stuff are absolute classics from 86, 87, but I feel like 88 to 91, 92 is where the NES was absolutely murdering it, and really people were extracting the full power out of the machine and stuff like that. So yeah, 88, one of my favorite personal years in gaming. The next one, funnily enough, is actually the year I was born, which is 1994. In 1994, we got Donkey Kong Country, we got Doom 2, which is my favorite Doom game. We have Earthworm Jim, Super Metroid, Earthbound, Final Fantasy VI, Sonic 3, System Shock, and Tekken.
Ooh, I don't know. Tekken. Sonic 3 and Tekken was the same year, because those are obviously those are 2 franchises I still play, consecutively. Right? Like I was just playing Tekken 7 the other day, and Sonic obviously rehashed that, but Sonic my goodness. Perfect. It's the only reason I really hook up my Genesis every once in a while. Yeah, so like 94 is a great year for media in general. Like the music scene in 94 was really, really good, and movies. There was a lot of great 94 movies. And so, yeah, I mean, gaming was just absolutely murdering it. And again, it's just, there's something to be said about when a console is released and has a little bit of time to get its legs going. And at this point, we had fully transitioned into the 16-bit era. And it was just on the cusp. But it had existed, but just on the cusp of going into the 3D era. So, and obviously, again, I have a lot of love for the 3D era, but those like 97 to 2000 games are a little clunky at times. A little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is kind of like the tail end of like that 16-bit era where the Genesis is going full steam ahead. The Super Nintendo are full steam ahead. And we're just getting tremendous games that to this day resonate really, really well because, again, these games age really well. Where a lot of the PlayStation 1 and 64 games are really hard with the controls and camera and stuff like that and some of the visual stylings. So we got games here that not only have brilliant visuals, great gameplay, but really, really great soundtracks too, because the sound chips on these 16-bit consoles are incredible too. So, so 94, in terms of one of the years that I play the most stuff from, it's probably around from here.
Yeah, same as me. Like, these are the stuff that, because I was always like hand-me-down stuff, so I was always like the older gen, so it's great to think, it's like, yeah, that was the stuff I was rocking back then.
Yeah, and it's funny,
that's the stuff that really hooked me.
If you look at the names of the major games from 94, most of these franchises are still very active. Like Donkey Kong, I mean, Tropical Freeze wasn't too long ago. Doom, obviously, Eternal, killed it. Super Metroid, we're still waiting for, but that's coming back. Final Fantasy 16 just got announced. Final Fantasy 6 was back then. Yeah. Sonic, it ain't going nowhere. System Shock, obviously, is the spiritual predecessor to BioShock.
Yep.
Which, I mean, inspires God knows how many games nowadays.
And I think there's a System Shock reboot or
remaster or something
coming out, and a sequel. I want to say there's like a System Shock 3 or 4.
Super underrated game. A lot of people don't really, because again, it's one of those. It was during the era where there was a hard line between PC centric experiences and console experiences. And so back then, like if you weren't in this PC space, yeah, you didn't know what System Shock was going on. But in retrospect, going forward, things are so melded up now where it's like a lot of experiences that you're getting only on the PC right now. There's a lot of console equivalents to it. So
yeah, absolutely.
And then obviously Tekken. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were my games. 2001, 1988, 1994, and 2010 were my years.
Yeah. So I had 2010, 93, and 07 were my mentions.
And I'm curious to see going forward into the future, way into the future, if we ever do this topic again, if there's any like more super contemporary years that will break in. Because like 2017, 2018 were pretty crazy too.
They were. It's nuts to think we were getting so many good games back then. I feel 2021 we might be.
There's potential.
There's potential. We might be spoiled because of so many things were delayed and pushed and stuff like that. 2020 was a solid year. But I think 2021, I don't know. There's something about it that I kind of got my eye on. New hardware's here and stuff like that.
Because 2017 was Breath of the Wild, right? Yeah, it's Breath of the Wild. I think Mario Odyssey launched that year too.
Odyssey launched at the fall, I want to say.
Yeah, very late.
The Switch launched. That was the Switch. That was Nintendo's comeback.
Yeah,
so.
Horizon was there.
Horizon, yep. So 2017 was a strong one too. And 2018, obviously, like I was saying, had some of these, gen-defying games. And I'm sure we're probably missing. It's just also it's hard because like from 2012 to like 2015, there was a lot of just like trash being sent out as well. So it's like weird. But also we got the PS4, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Well, first off, I'm sure there's someone out there having an absolute meltdown. It's like, what are you talking about? It's 76. Have you seen Pong? Like, yeah, I know, buddy.
Yeah. Don't worry. I mean, you can put an argument for every year. Like the other one. What's the other one I wrote down? Like 2009 was an interesting year. That's Batman Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, 2009 was a really good time.
Uncharted 2, Assassin's Creed 2. Ooh. The only thing, it was very sequelitis in a sense.
Oh yeah.
Resident Evil 5, Halo 3 ODST, Infamous.
That's a shooter era.
Yeah, big shooter era. Also, 2009 was the release of Minecraft, which I think is like the best-selling game ever.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
So it's. There you can make an argument there, but again, that one was just like so many sequels, so it's like improving on the stuff that like broke the industry.
Yeah, if there's one conclusion we could garner from all this is to have a best year. It's not something that can be done by any one single publisher. This is something that everybody kind of has to be on deck for, and everybody has to be killing it. Which again, that's why it makes me so excited for 2021, where there'll be fresh hardware out there. Nintendo has these kind of staggered releases, so they're well into the Switch life now. So now we're probably going to get a lot of the more ambitious Switch games going forward in terms of what can actually be done on that hardware, pushing it to its very limits. Where the PlayStation 5 already has a crazy lineup. We're going to get Horizon 2, we're going to get God of War 2, and then finally Microsoft's in a position where not only do they have really, really great hardware, and there's not that discrepancy where they're running things at a way, lower resolution, like they had the problem with the One X, but they're going to be in a position where they have great hardware, and they have all these teams they own. So, yeah, we're going to get stuff from Obsidian, Bethesda, the Coalition. There's tons of different teams that they have available to them. So we'll have a firm possibility that we'll have firm competition from all three of the major publishers. That puts us in a great position. Oh, sorry, 4 Atari VCS. But my mistake. I won't do that again.